Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
The image is a perfect copy.
Yeah,
so
it was a perfect copy of a hard drive.
Forensic copy, bit for bit, of everything that was on the Mesa County computer.
I had some people who knew my capabilities that said, you really ought to look at this.
She's the clerk, so those systems operation for an election, it was her duty to preserve those election records.
And then when they compared the two images, they discovered that election records had been deleted or altered. 29,000 of them that are the fingerprints, the DNA, the blood type of how they got to the totals of the 2020 and the 2021 election.
Just to clarify, there were 2 forensic images taken of the Mesa County election server. One before the software update. Another image taken after. Then, you were able to compare the two.
Everything that had been on that drive before this update was gone.
Looks like a cover-up. Low risk of being caught, low consequence if they are caught. I mean, there's a layered defense against transparency for the public.
The reason we know it was deliberate is because of Tina Peters.
Are those files important to elections?
Critical.
Well, doesn't the Colorado Secretary of State claim they are not important?
Best case, she's wildly ignorant. The federal voting system standards are very clear that the election records that are required to audit a voting system include the digital records that are all the log files generated by that voting system, especially when it's a complex computer system.
Happy Monday. Today should be fun. You know, all weekend I've been trying to figure out what we're going to do with Tina or for Tina when she gets out. We're going to put it in a place where we can get access to like, what is Tina going to be allowed to talk to? She has to sit in front of the parole board. So one of the things she has to do in front of the parole board is that she has to tell them what she is and is not going to do, and they get to, you know, basically say, here are some of the limits of what you're allowed to talk about. Now, I want to point out something that was stated, and that is Tina was not tried for anything to do with what she looked under the hood for with the 2020 election. So now that you have a commutation of her sentence, they can't stop her from talking about what happened in 2020 and getting involved in looking under the hood of the machines or even the outcome of that, because she was never charged with anything related to the work that she did on the election. We're going to go through a bunch of things today. We're going to talk about Tina Peters. I want to break that down for you. And then when we're done doing that, we're going to have General Holt on. We're going to talk through some of what's happening in the cesspool. But I think it all ties together. We keep having conversations about how they are gaslighting the American people. And gaslighting in such a way that it's almost impossible to see the bottom of the barrel. They just chum the water, chum the water, chum the water. And there's a movie out there that that you guys are probably familiar with Chevy Chase. And he says, it's gray, it's gray area. And what he's referring to is, he says, well, how gray? Charcoal. Charcoal meaning can't see the bottom of it because they continually won't let us see the bottom of it. We're talking about Tina because, as you know, on Friday, there was a commutation of Tina Peters' sentence. I again want to say that she was never charged for any crimes related to her looking under the hood of the machine. And Jared Polis is now going back and he's saying that, hey, listen, this is not what she was charged with. She was charged with giving someone illegal access. Now, I do want to be very clear that the person that made the recommendation that someone on the outside come in and use somebody else's ID was a person named Sharona Bishop. That was her grand idea. Turning off the cameras, her grand idea. Involving and creating this kind of muddy water like we're in some sort of covert operation, Sharona Bishop's idea. It wasn't Tina's idea. Tina didn't walk in and say, you know, the first thing that Tina did, let me just tell you before I read this commutation. The first thing that Tina did after figuring out that municipal election that happened in the spring of 2021, and she knew that it didn't go out right, it did not align with what was really happening in the county. The first thing that she did is she called the county and says, I need you to make a copy of this. Once she knew at the state that there was a problem, they were coming into the trusted bill, they were going to erase election records, she went to her own IT department before any of this happened and said, I need you to make a copy of it, and they refused. They refused. Now, many people haven't talked about that fact, but it's important because Tina always did the right thing. It doesn't matter where you were. Tina was always doing the right thing. She was always making sure things were well documented. She had the utmost respect for the process. She only ran for county clerk and recorder because there was so much incompetence that was going on inside of the county leadership. Sorry, I had to sneeze. So I turned it off so you didn't have to hear it. All right, so let's read if we can the executive order from Tina Peters. This is the problem with being on live, is you can't really hold that stuff in. This is from Jared Polis. Pursuant to the authority invested in the governor of the state of Colorado by Article 4, Section 7 of the Colorado Constitution, I, Jared Polis, governor of the state of Colorado, hereby issue this executive order commuting the sentence of Tina M. Peters. Background: in 2024, Tina M. Peters, DOC Reg number 203512, was convicted of 3 counts of attempt to influence a public servant, as well as conspiracy to commit criminal impersonation, cause liability, official misconduct, violations of duty elections, and failure to comply with Secretary of State requirements 22 CR 371. She was sentenced to the Department of Corrections for 8 years and 3 months and 6 months in county jail for these crimes. Her current mandatory release date is in 2033, and her current estimated parole eligibility date is in 2028. The constitutional and statutory conditions for granting the clemency petition have been satisfied, and granting this commutation is in the interest of justice. Grant of clemency. Tina M. Peters is hereby granted a limited commutation such that the total sentence, inclusive of time in the county jail and the Department of Corrections, is commuted to 4 years and 4.5 months, and that she is granted parole effective June 1st, 2026. This grant of clemency is limited to commuting her sentence of Tina M. Peters so that her total sentence, including the time in county jail and Department of Corrections, is commuted to 4 years and 4.5 months, and she's granted parole effective June 1st, 2026, with terms and conditions set by the parole board, and shall not in any way affect the underlying criminal conviction. Given under this hand the executive seal of the state of Colorado this 15th day of May, 2026. And there's the seal. So just so you guys know, I'm reading from the same document. And then Tina put out a response, and I want to read her response because, you know, there's been things that people have said, like, is Tina going to get out and get back in the fight? I don't know the answer to that question right now. Is she going to run for office again? Is she going to? I mean, there's all sorts of questions, like, what is Tina going to do? And you know, there's a lot of moving parts that are going on right now, and now everyone's stepping out and trying to take credit for it. You have Lauren Boebert that stepped out and she got on radio stations and things like that, acting like she did so much to help Tina. She didn't. Sorry, Lauren, but you didn't. I'm taking credit for it on the eve of everything else going on, given the break between you and President Trump. I'm a little disappointed that, you know, that we would go through this. Now, keep in mind, Lauren is our candidate for the Republican choice, right? So President Trump put it out there that someone should run against her. And I have a little bit of an on-off relationship with Lauren, not that I don't think she's a good person, but I think that her time in D.C. has worn on her conscience. I think it's worn on her. I think that the swamp is so deep and so infested, it cost her marriage. And I think if you asked Lauren if it was worth it, I don't think she said it would. It would be. And not only did it cost her her marriage, but it also cost her the things that I think are most important, which are our children. And I know what this looks like. I know what it looks like to have your kids going down the wrong path and having to make sacrifices and step away from work. I had to do it. I mean, I was literally sitting over in Doha, Qatar, when I got the message from one of my children. It's actually not my story to tell. It's my daughter's story to tell. But the decision had to be made. I needed to be home for my kids, so I did. I quit right there, at the height of doing some pretty crazy things overseas. I quit, came home, cut grass for about 6 months. Well, I figured out what I was going to do, and taking my kids to school and taking my daughter to school and spending time with her and my son. And Lauren didn't do that. She went to Washington, and frankly, it cost her dearly in a lot of ways. She's got a lot of turmoil going through the family as a result of that. But Tina now has lots of people that are coming out of the woodwork, and they're representing her. And I think the bad part of that is that, and taking credit. Here's the other thing, they're taking credit. Tina is a strong woman. And frankly, she served almost 2 years in prison. And so there's been people that have criticized how she responded. You obviously have lots of people on the radical left that have come out that have said some pretty terrible things about Tina. You have the Secretary of State, which is going on CNN and trying to make a name for herself, an unelectable candidate for the AG's office of Colorado. You have Phil Weasel Weiser, that absolute dirtbag that, frankly, I don't understand how the DOJ has not indicted him on crimes that he committed related to his part in the Christopher Gregory case. Don't know how it's possible. But they protect themselves. But here's Tina's response. Thank you, Governor Polis. I made mistakes, and for those, I'm sorry. 5 years ago, I misled the Secretary of State when allowing a person to gain access to county voting equipment. That was wrong. I have learned and grown during my time in prison. And going forward, I'll make sure that my actions always follow the law, and I will avoid the mistakes of the past. I strongly condemn it when people not connected to me threaten to storm the prison I am in. I myself have faced threats, so I also want to be clear that I condemn any and all bullying, threats, and acts of violence against voters, county clerks, election workers, and other public officials, and concerned citizens like myself. Upon release, I plan to do my best through legal means to support election integrity and, based on my own personal experience, to evaluate the cause of prison reform to help ensure the detention system is more fair and equitable for people of all ages. My experience has given me a perspective that plan to share with others to improve Colorado's correction system. I am grateful for the second chance and an early release, and I look forward to doing good in the world. I'm going to tell you this is hard to read, and I know a certain part of it is meant to placate the parole board for conditions that, obviously are going to be pushed upon her, and they're going to be pretty intense, if I had to guess. But let's be honest. Tina Peters didn't do anything wrong. She uncovered election fraud, and the gaslighting that we face as a state and as a country is overwhelming. The leadership that we have is largely ineffective, but also weak, cowardly. These are people that, frankly, you would never hire to run your business. And I'm talking about everyone from Thune all the way down. They have no verifiable skills. And you have a person like Tina that does, that was able to look under and have the courage to stand up. And what has happened since then has been the grossest amount of misconduct by both sides of the aisle and the media that you could ever imagine. All run by this CIA group, you could say. And I want to look at this. This is Jared Polis gave Caitlin Collins an interview on CNN. So let's play this first part.
For being here. A lot of people might look at this and say, Tina Peters was convicted by a jury of her peers in a conservative-leaning county, no less. Why did you decide to commute her sentence?
I have to start, Caitlin, by correcting just one thing in the lead-in. She did not commit any crimes regarding the 2020 elections. She certified President Biden won. This was after the 2021. It was a small municipal election in the town. The results were counted, no ballots were compromised, but she went in and illegally tried to copy software before an update came. So nothing to do with President Trump's election. Just wanted to make that clear. Look, what the appeals court found, and what I agree, is that fundamentally she deserves time, and she committed 4 felonies. Those are going to stay on her record. We're continuing to fight the president's bogus attempt to pardon her in court. But the truth of the matter is that her speech, meaning her conspiratorial beliefs and what she believes in, are certainly an anathema to me and most of your viewers, and I strongly disagree with. But those are not the basis and should not be the basis for a longer sentence than somebody would normally get for this crime. And that's really what the sentence reduction is all about.
Jared Polis, man. He wanted to point that out, but he also wanted to get right back into gaslighting the American people. The amount of evidence we have, including whistleblowers, including the CFIUS report that was put out in 2006, which has not yet been made public, or the now public report that's been declassified, the OD&I report related to elections. I understand the fear. And here's the fear, just so we're clear. Admit that the entire system that you have in the United States is fraudulent. Admit it. I mean, fully admit it. Fully admit what everyone knows. Because I've talked to people off the record, on the record, behind closed doors, and they said, Joe, I cannot say this publicly. And here's the reason why. Laws would have to be stripped from the books. Thousands, if not tens of thousands. Tax money would have to be rolled back. Appointments to the bench would have to be stripped. What they're saying, what the experts in Washington are saying, and I want you to listen to me, this is 100% absolutely factual. Go check it out. If you're a lawyer, fact check me on this. That would create, in essence, a constitutional crisis. Because how far back do we go? We know we go back to 2005. Do we actually just wipe off 21 years of laws? Do we have to change the history books on who was elected to what position? Do we have to remove judges that have been sitting on the bench? Do we have to reverse appointments? Do we have to change foreign policy, domestic policy? Do we have to roll back tax consequences? Is the Affordable Care Act, is it legitimate? Because the people that were in Congress voted for this act that put in place the largest increase, tax increase on the American people through health care that has ever existed. A nearly 21,000% increase in the cost of health care and subsidized medicine. 21,000. You'd say, no, it's not 21,000. Yeah, it is. Yeah, if you just look at cost structures across the board, it's impossible. So we'd have a constitutional crisis on our hands. If you believe that, I mean, remember, you had Doug with cyber ninjas that said it would be a constitutional crisis if they actually told the truth about what they found in Arizona. And here we are having a conversation about the sovereignty of our entire nation. And the experts that are giving President Trump and others advice are saying it'll be a constitutional crisis. The courts we'd strip it bone dry. It, in essence, would make us so we'd have to start over from scratch. And I would say, well, maybe we should. But then Jenna Griswold went on CNN to debunk Jared Polis. This is the difference between Jared Polis he's not a good guy. But Jenna Griswold, worse. She's dumber than a rock and the most vicious. Her entire staff turned against her. Play it.
Secretary of State Jenna Griswold. Secretary, you heard what the governor said there, explaining his decision, why he thinks this was the right call. What's your response to what you just heard from him?
Well, overall, I think this is the wrong decision, and it's a gross injustice to our elections, our democracy, and election officials across this country. And frankly, Tina Peters' actions has everything to do with the 2020 election. The governor is correct that she facilitated the compromising of voting equipment during 2021. But make no mistake, the intent of her work was to try to prove Trump's big lie. And Caitlin, just to clarify, Tina Peters did not let Mike Lindell into the voting equipment. There was someone else. But she did take the images of the voting equipment. Those were taken to Mike Lindell's cyber symposium, where they were supposedly going to prove once and for all how the election really was for Trump. Of course, it's a bunch of conspiracies. So I think overall, Tina Peters committed a crime. The judicial process should have been given the time to work out her sentencing. There was an active resentencing happening right now. And overall, this grant of clemency is the wrong message to send in a time when our democracy is in crisis.
Our democracy is in crisis. Which part of our democracy is in crisis? Is it the part of democracy that's in crisis with the judiciary specifically, as it relates to letting rapists walk free and get probation? Pedophiles rape 3 separate children, as long as they don't rape the same child 3 times, they escape going to prison? Or is it the democracy where you take away the rights of a parent to parent their children and say that CPS can step in and take them away? Oh, no, it's different. It's the revolving door that allows judges to put criminals back on the street after being arrested 15 to 20 times, abducting children, raping children, assaulting women, until it leads to murder, by saying they're not fit to stand trial and then putting them back on the street. That type of democracy, what else are we talking about? Are we talking about flock cameras on every corner? Or the fact that they basically have turned Colorado into a police state? Or that it's unrecognizable when it comes to the fact that our infrastructure is failing? Or we can't actually manage our budgets? Or the kids are graduating not proficient in anything, can't read or write, less than 25% can read or write or are proficient in anything to go on to the next level? How about the closing of trade schools or the degradation of secondary education? No, we don't want to talk about that? No. All at the hands of Jenna Griswold, Phil Weiser, Jared Polis, and these radical leftists that are in positions of trust and authority who have stolen our Second Amendment rights, impinged on our First Amendment right, destroyed everything that's good about this state, and turned us into the 3rd most expensive state to live in. A landlocked state, by the way, in the middle of the country. I mean, we're not talking about it's on the shorelines. We're not talking about California. We're not talking about any shorelines or that would cause those rates to go up. I don't know. Landlocked in the middle of the country, 3rd hardest or most expensive state to live in. The party needs an enema. The state of Colorado deserves something much better than the type of leadership that we have currently. Now, they dog whistle people like me and say that I call for violence because I want people tried for treason. When they're found guilty of treason, I want them hung. Why? Because it's not a victimless crime. And the things that they've allowed to have happen to the American people while stealing opportunities from our children is something that we should deal with. We should make it so that we send a clear message that if you're willing to do that to our children and to our state and to steal the very ethos of our nation, you should pay with your life. That's the message we should send. And for those that say you should turn the other cheek and, we just have to, we just have to give it up to God. God is giving us the opportunity to save it all. And this is not just a Colorado problem. It's not a U.S. problem. It is a global problem where we are being taken over by deviants and really, really crappy people. And they take competent people like me or President Trump or others, and they relegate them to the sideline, do everything they can to try and to destroy them while censoring them and pushing them down and suing them. They do that too. But we don't help ourselves in the Republican Party. See, I'm running for county chair. We have our guest is here. I think is General Holt on? Okay, so I'm gonna make this quick because I really want to hear from him about all the other stuff that's happening. I ran for state chair. I ran for governor, said, here's what I want to do. And I was gaining a huge amount of steam. And my goal was get in there, pardon Tina Peters, do the things that are necessary in order to right the wrong, doge the state, do everything we could to restore the country or the state. And then I go, well, the Republican Party is broken. I mean, look at who it's put forward. The Republicans that are in office, they largely have, not done anything to promote or to help Colorado. They just haven't. They talk a good game and they'll show up and, say I'm for the Second Amendment. But the rights of Coloradans to the Second Amendment or the First Amendment are nearly non-existent. They literally just passed one of the most draconian laws out there that have no basis in fact of why they did it. They're now making it so that gun store owners, it's impossible for you to operate. Not only do you have an ATF, but now you have another organization in the state that basically, through draconian laws and measures, are able to increase costs by nearly 50% while locking up ammo and now telling you that you're not allowed to own an AR. You're not allowed to own anything with gas in it. And no, it's pistols, guns. I mean, it's everything. Getting rid of nearly, I think it's like 550 different types of weapons, including like Daniel's Defense, Geisley's, you name it, all the way down. It's highly unconstitutional. And yet, they did it anyway. But the Republican Party has been nearly non-existent in the state of Colorado. And a part of the blueprint for the radical left and DSA and all of these communist demonic Satanists that you have over here on this side is that they had to also destroy the Republican Party inside and make it unable to fight its own battles. This goes back 20 years to the beginning of Dick Wadhams being a part of it. The henchman that came in to really do some massive amount of harm to the state of Colorado. And so I said, I'll just go in and I'll fix the Republican Party. And the Republican Party, by the way, as I go through this and I have conversations with people, here's the one thing I'll tell you. I've had conversations with thousands of people over the last 45 days. And here's what I get. You can't talk to this person, you can't talk to this person. I have people that work and help me in the campaign that can't get along with other people. And then other people that are out there saying, you can't talk to this person. If you do, I'll be against you. And I keep thinking to myself, this party needs an enema. Well, something happened on Friday. And there have been people that said, hey, I'm like, he's a nice guy, right? Trying to figure out how we can mend some of the fences we have in the state of Colorado. But then this happened. Weld County GOP Chair Hunter Rivera was arrested for the following charges: soliciting a child prostitute, internet luring of a child, cybercrime, soliciting and arrange a minor prostitute, attempted sexual assault on a child. Hunter was a former legislative aide to Rep. Lori Garcia Sonder and Senator Barb Kirkmeyer, and a frequent guest at the Capitol with Weld County Republicans. He was recently on the House floor during the last few weeks of session. Hunter associates with Reps. Carlos Barron, Ryan Gonzalez, and Jarvis Caldwell. Hunter also ran for the mayor of Windsor. There you go. That's what we've allowed into the Republican Party. And this isn't a problem, by the way. It's a new problem. This is everyone trying to pick out, and the Democrats say they want to give him a free pass, give him probation. The Republicans look at this and go, this is disgusting. This is a Democrat problem. But it's not. It's lipstick on a pig. We've allowed people to do really horrible things and get away with it. We tolerate this type of behavior. And in the Republican Party and leadership, we have a lot of those people. We have a lot of people that literally seek to do harm to other people. We have a problem in the Republican Party. We need to make it the People's Party. The Democrats have proven that they just are sharecroppers trying to enslave black and brown people. Now we need to take the black and brown people and the young people and flood them into the Republican Party and try to do real good by having ethical, honest, moral leadership that's strong, that's willing to stand up. If we don't, we will be relegated to the party that can never win. So everything that we're dealing with right now, we need 1,000 people like President Trump to run. That's what we need, young and old. If we want to talk about this further, we can talk about Colorado further, but I want to talk about what's happening on the world stage. You guys have you already know Brigadier General Blaine Holt. He's been on here many times before. We've had some great conversations. He's done some amazing things. He's a contributor on Newsmax, and which by the way is the reason why we always get his picture of a picture of a head. He's got a podcast and he's done some great things, and he has an immense amount of wisdom. So with that said, General Holt, welcome to the show.
Well, it's great to be with you. And, you know, I've just been listening to you, and I'm struck by how, whether you're talking about global geopolitics or right on down to just an American trying to guard the gate and protect elections, and she pays for it dearly. It's all interrelated. It's all linked. It all comes together, and it's evidence of a republic that's in great peril. And here on the eve of our 250th, honestly, I don't think we're really any differently than Sam Adams and the Sons of Liberty, Joe. I think we've got the why and the roads. Are we going to have a republic, as Benjamin Franklin challenged us, or are we going into the dust heap of empires long forgotten? And that's exactly where I find us right now. And the funny thing is, the bad guys haven't changed since the fall of Rome. They're the same bad guys, the same bloodlines, same everything. And the playbook and the technology has morphed, but it's the same exact thing.
It's the same. It's still the same deviancy. It's still the same collective structure of dishonesty that leads them down a path where they can lie over and over and over again in order to get people to do things. It's the beer goggle approach. Nothing's changed. Same.
No. If you look at one of the last emperors of Rome, Caligula, hell, they even made a porn movie about him. We're talking about decadence at the highest order, and we are astonished by Americans who are waking up and looking around themselves and looking at all these predators that are in government positions, and they're being held accountable for child molestation and far, far worse if you read some of the Epstein crap. But if you go back to the days of Caligula and the final days of the Roman Empire, it's the same debauchery. It's the exact same level. And what they did was they rebranded, they reincarnated, they became the Venetians, then they became the Dutch, and then they became the British. Secret societies, Fabian Society, own all of the intelligence agencies at a deep state level, get to the place where your arrogance, your hubris, and your moral failings all combine into one thing, searching out a path to depopulation, searching out a path to utter domination and control of human beings. And so everything you've talked about today speaks to me of a world war that I call sovereigntists versus globalists. And this time, with the technology that's involved on this fifth generation warfare battlefield, this one's for all the marbles. We have to win here. We have no choice. And so if you love your grandkids, if you love what the Constitution says versus what these politicians have perverted it into, well, then you better get active and you better get awake right now and stand the line, because we are in no less debacle than those who walked on Lexington and Concord were when the lobsters came to town.
So that leads me down to, there's things that you've said and I've read about other, you made comments on it. You obviously have written about this, but that we're already in World War III. We've talked about this before. And that the battlefield is our phones, our farmland, universities, the ports. You name it's like a multi-dimensional. We're fighting everywhere. Everywhere we turn, there's some deviant behavior that's trying to destroy or take away opportunities from people. And there is blood, though. I mean, there is blood. I mean, you have lots of victims every day that become victims of this, and the roulette wheel is getting smaller and smaller, and the spaces are getting bigger and bigger. The opportunities to become victimized. So why is it in this fifth generation landscape that people haven't stood up and said, we've had enough?
this is the thing. It's about human cognition. And this is what your enemy understands is you can only take so much. And what I mean by that is not stress level. What I mean by that is if I load you up with enough varied vectors and lines of attack, if I do that, then what happens is you become cognitively overwhelmed. And if I throw in a little quantum applesauce like fear tracks, hertz, microwaves, EMFs, things that most people don't understand at all, I can get Americans up on edge, stressed, ready to turn on their neighbor simply because they call themselves a Democrat or they call themselves a Republican. Here's a little hint for everybody: there is no aisle, and it's absolute manipulation. Meanwhile, when we take a look at things like, go back to the Las Vegas shooting where we're supposed to believe that one guy was able to have 3 shooting lanes and hit 500 some odd people with impunity from a casino, and then go all the way over to Nigerian Christians being wiped out. Wait, go all the way over to rape gangs in the UK. Go all the way over to the Straits and 40,000 Iranians giving up their lives because of an anxious government. It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. And it's meant, whether it's kinetic and it's a bomb going off, or it's anxious and it's a bomb being found in an Alabama dam. How many of those little Easter eggs do we have around the country? Or on and on, and then a swamp at the federal level, and it goes down. The tentacles go down to the state and the local levels of extortion, blackmail, co-option, compromat that debilitates the government and debilitates ourselves. And then it's all put in a nice, friendly little wrapper called the mainstream media, where you're fed what you're supposed to know. So if you want to step outside the box for 5 hot seconds and find out that not only is the hantavirus crap, the narrative behind it, the hantavirus is quite real, it's quite lethal, but you're supposed to believe it's now person-to-person contact, and that some ornithologist decided they were going to visit a landfill in Ushuaia to visit a yellow-bellied sapsucker or some rare bird, and we're off to the races on the next pandemic. And you better buy that, and you better trust the science and get ready for the next round of shots. Nothing could be further from the truth. We're talking about bogus science, 36-year-old paper that suggested maybe hantavirus was person-to-person on 36 cases. And this is about you, the American. This is about your sovereignty at an individual level, your sovereignty at a national level. All roads lead to the current incarnation of the Romans and the Praetorian Guard, and that is the City of London and the financialists. And this war is raging now, and it's going to get more dangerous.
Okay, so it's going to get more dangerous for people like me, for sure, certainly for people like you. President Trump has had multiple attempts on his life. But if we look at the structures of what's happened in this takeover, this bad tissue, this cancer that's entered our government, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. So we've talked about it being like a narco-terrorism or cartel type environment. It's organized crime. Yeah. I mean, how is it that you can have this much organized crime? I mean, everyone can see it. Everyone. You would have to be deaf, dumb, and they're over here repeating the same thing over and over again. And the average person that frankly has no connection to anything that doesn't leave their house, they're the only ones that believe it.
Let's take a fable that you were taught in school.
Yeah.
If you were even offered a history course, because then it morphed into social studies, and then it morphed into, I don't know, gender studies, whatever. The fable back in the day when we were kids was, well, we had World War II, and there was this brilliant clandestine organization that called itself the OSS, the Organization of Strategic Services. And what that was the precursor to what would become our brilliant intelligence services. And we really honed our spy skills then in World War II. And now you see the stand-up of what would become the vanguard of the Cold War and our Central Intelligence Agency and intel complex. Aren't you so happy? And sleep well at night, American, because this is what national security means. Hold up. Let's get to the reality, just to show a comparison about how our own education, when we were kids in Gen X land, was co-opted. The real education is, you got a thing in the late 1800s called the Fabian Society. Fabian Society is the ones who hatched the London School of Economics, the Royal Institute of International Affairs, the Council on Foreign Relations, Chatham House. Interesting organizations as they hatched their very first American president, Woodrow Wilson, a communist by any other name, who was very tied in with the Fabians at the exact same time that this thing called MI6, the intelligence services of Great Britain at the time, were born. And as we went into concocted wars over finances, that OSS thing, which was really hatched by Wild Bill Donovan, a Wall Street banker, also steeped with the Brit financialists, City of London, they came together and morphed this OSS thing into the Central Intelligence Agency, which would go on to commit color revolution after color revolution after color revolution. And honestly, if he could have finished the speech, this is what Eisenhower was truly warning us about. But even he was under threat, because what happened after him? You had a president step out of line. His name's JFK. He paid the ultimate price because he would not go with cubicle monsters in the deep state that were hatched by the City of London. And if you think that these little choir kids are wonderful, let's go to the current issue du jour. Who likes Lone Star ticks and alpha-gal virus? Wait a minute. Who likes the original ticks and the Lyme virus? Who did that? Or was it an act of God? No, it wasn't. It was your Central Intelligence Agency going all the way back to London and the Fabians. And they decided the best way to deal with Cuba was to rain down and parachute all these Lyme-infested ticks onto the Cubans without our say-so, without any review, no congressional oversight. And that was just declassified not a year ago. Well, here we are. In the name of climate change, in the name of no red meat for you, in the name of globalist desires and one world government from these folks who are as perverted as Caligula was himself, they're now bringing you alpha-gal because they said so. And they're doing it quite under the noses of an administration that is moving in all directions. But this one's very serious, and they've camouflaged themselves with another thing called hantavirus. And it's just an example of two parallel worlds where you're told the fable, but if you do a little scratching on your own American, you'll find out the fable was there to keep you kind of sleepy. Go to the Sunday football game. Enjoy yourself. Bread and circuses for everybody. The technology and the people may have changed, but the families are the same. The money is the same. And the intent is very much the same. There's only one guy, only one president is nobody's perfect. This one is quite flawed as well. We can all throw rocks at him and say, what are you doing? But he's the only one who's not Royal Institute of International Affairs anointed, and he's the only one who's doing something about today's modern Fabians. And so this is the battlefield. And if he fails, does that mean we pack our stuff up and go home? No, it means the fight falls to us. And hey, guess what? It's already fighting to us. It's already falling to us. But what we have to do here on platforms like yours, Joe, is we've got to educate. We've got to make sure that Americans understand this isn't tinfoil hat country, guys. This is an existential issue, and the outcome is undetermined.
Okay, so I need to bring up the ticks in the thing you brought up about the hantavirus. You had a ship that left Argentina. All of a sudden, they say that it's now airborne and it's the sky is falling. They then just announced that they had another case off the East Coast. The same thing, same symptoms, and the questions that you ask are, whether or not this is this purposeful? Are they doing this on purpose? Are they not doing this on purpose? Is this another accidental case of just another virus? But I want to tie that together with what you said about the ticks, because somebody dropped containers worth of boxes of ticks.
Yes.
And nobody's talking about it.
Spackled right over.
And this has happened. Like they didn't expect anybody to see it or understand what was happening.
It's happening right now.
Tens of millions of ticks. Who gave them the authority to drop tens of millions of ticks?
Right. And they brazenly sit on panels with their scientists saying, oh, yeah, no, we're going to do this because we can make you allergic to beef. They've already killed people with this. There's over 450,000 Americans now with the alpha-gal virus. You have we, the people, if you go on social, coming up with all kinds of homeopathic remedies to try to nullify this. But the bigger questions are not being asked, because then that's how you know that Operation Mockingbird, or the co-option of the media, is in full force. It's in full force. And so back to hantavirus, on my podcast, Dangerous Intellectuals, today I had a conversation with Dr. Peter McCullough.
Yes.
So he went in and challenged the whole damn thing. He went in and said, well, wait a minute, how convenient. America and Argentina are the only ones to pull out of the WHO. So we've got this air quotes cruise vessel. It's really just a scientific vessel with limited amount of people on board, 147. And the narrative is that somebody breathed in rat crap on a pile, a landfill, because they wanted to see a bird. Okay, but here's the truth. The truth is that what's required for commercial vessels is to go through a rodent check before launch. They did not. And what's also apparent here is the Andes virus of the hantavirus, which is what they're calling this, is they say that it can have person-to-person contact, and this is all based on a study. You can look it up in the American Medical Journal. I think it's the Martinez study going back 36 years, which is based on nothing. Dr. McCullough points out there is no science behind this, and the Andes virus is not person-to-person any more than anything else is. Those people were breathing rat crap in the ventilation system, and it couldn't have been that bad because they let the entire crew take the vessel all the way to Rotterdam after they got the most people off the ship. And those brilliant kids at the WHO locked everybody up in their rooms to breathe that stuff. All they were doing is trying to incubate this as fast as humanly possible to create their next pandemic. Wait, what's out on the horizon? Oh, the midterms. The midterms. These people don't think of new stuff. They just rerun old playbooks. And
but they've gotten away with it.
And gotten away with it. And the damage is very real. These ticks that this whole hantavirus thing is camouflaging, that's real. That's 500,000 Americans right now. And nobody in irons yet. That's the problem we have.
Yeah, so I want to point this out. I was just going through and just reading a couple of comments where people said that, oh, that was debunked, the boxes falling from. So just so everyone's aware, the video of the boxes of ticks being found by farmers was verified.
Yeah.
It was verified.
Yeah.
But they dropped it onto farming land away from at night. And the farmers went and picked it up, and there was literally thousands of ticks in each one of these boxes.
Right.
But they just get to lie. General,
they're dying, livestock dying, deer. You can't go out and hunt a deer in Appalachia right now. Go hunt a deer. Find out what happens to you. So this is the thing. Americans who are concerned, even some very genuine, honest Americans, are praying to find a post on social media that says the word debunked. They're praying for that. They want to go find that because the fear is biting. And what I would say is, take your fear and transition it into confidence that we're going to do fine. But fine means recognizing the truth that this is a fifth-generation warfare battlefield, and you better get spun up on it, and you better take care of your family, have a great relationship with your creator, and work outside of the local zone. Get yourself resilient. You are in a war. This is no different than in World War II when we had the need to build or grow victory gardens. Grow a victory garden, because, by the way, we haven't talked about it yet. They're coming for your food.
Well, that doesn't give me any confidence, because they're coming for our food. We know they're coming for our food.
Right.
And, I spend a vast majority of my time now when I'm at night, I'll go through and I do a bunch of research. But now I literally give myself 30 minutes a day where I'm looking at different ways that I can grow food and or make sure that my meat is not contaminated. So I've found different ways to buy my meat. I'm trying to buy it direct. I ask questions like, are you putting any sort of hormones? What do you feed the chickens? What do you, I mean, General, this is a lot of time that I'm spending on food, right?
Right.
And I've purged my house of all sorts of different things that frankly I used to eat all the time, just all the time. I don't buy the same Heinz ketchup anymore. I don't even eat ketchup anymore just because of, you know, the way that they process ketchup. I mean, I've turned it around because I'm thinking to myself, well, I gotta figure out what is and is not contaminated, but nobody knows.
Here's the problem. They're hitting us on the food line on every available vector. So when you and I went out before the Saturday morning cartoons, in the 70s, we would go load up on a great bowl of Captain Crunch. And the worst thing that you were going to do, oh, that's good stuff. And the worst thing that you were going to do,
Lucky Charms.
Oh yeah, you're going to put some holes in your teeth. That was your mom's problem. You didn't like the Novocaine. That was the big harm. And you were going to take a sugar bomb, and then by noon you were asleep, and your parents actually liked that. So, but if you look at the back of that box from 1975 or 1976 and the box in 2026, same marketing, same box, way different ingredients, even though the two products taste exactly the same. And so what have they done? They have taken over the ingredients with the only order to make the product taste the same. And they make a business case for this to say, well, yeah, we found more efficient ingredients. We're getting to the same place with the product. And now we can offer the product at the same or lower price, which is just crap because it's all gone up exponentially. When you start to pick apart and break down the ingredients that our kids ingest today, these are toxins. Wait, that's only one vector. Now look, go back 90 days. In 90 days, we have had no fewer than 47 refinery or oil storage incidents around the world. And if you hear oil and refinery blows up, just go ahead and take out those words and put in the word food storage and food processing, because that's exactly what energy is. It's a way to get food to your doorstep. For Americans who think that food comes out of a grocery store, rude awakening coming. Because even if you can afford the inflation from the transportation systems coming to a grinding halt with no diesel, no jet fuel, no whatever, no Port of LA to bring in the winter food, well, then it's not a case of, oh, I'm very well off. I can afford $25 for a dozen eggs. That's fine. It's like, okay, it might be fine. Go find the eggs. Go find them. I'll wait. Because if you're anywhere inland, you may not find those eggs. Oh, no, I'm inland. It's okay. Really? Because here's another threat vector. Fertilizer is now 70% more for your farmer, and they don't want to grow under those conditions, and they won't. And so what we're seeing for yields in the fall is going to be vastly different than what we saw just this time last year. And as bad as we have it, and as bad as we should treat that, I think in Europe, it's already baked into the cake. The Straits of Hormuz locked up all the fertilizer, and they will not see food in some of the grocery stores in Europe. It's absolutely, and so I guess that pulls me back to the big strategic notion of, if that is about to happen, then I think where we're going is to a cataclysmic defining chapter in this war. That what's happened the year before last and the year before last, all the way back to COVID, I think the next 12 months are going to be spectacular compared to those, because you have not one black swan, you've got a whole gaggle of them setting down at about the same time. And that's exactly what a fifth generation warfare is. It's to overwhelm you so you can't focus on any one thing at a time. You want to focus on the Epstein list? Fine, go ahead. Financial crisis? Go ahead. Food? Fine. What's the cost of gas? No problem. Unemployment? Yep, that's a big one. It's all there, right down to the ticks, and it's all on purpose. And it all goes back to this thing called the globalists, and they write in their own words what they want. We now have to recognize that, and we have to take revolutionary war type action that our founders took, or we are going to be in really big trouble.
So I want to play this. This came off of your page. This is the Tic Invasion. I want people to see this that maybe haven't seen it before. Let's go ahead and play it.
That's something that we can do through human engineering.
Here I come.
That's him.
Here I come.
Found the tick box. I'm not going to touch it because there's ticks all over that thing. Millions of them. You can see the tick.
You can see he's absolutely covered in ticks.
Look at that. On his ears.
That is insane. And look at the size of them.
A rare red meat allergy linked to ticks.
They're seeing more cases of a severe allergy to red meat and other products.
A kind of tick-borne illness that presents as a sudden allergy to eating meat.
People eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption of meat, then they would it would actually really help the planet.
6% of global emissions are cows who burp and fart methane to an extreme degree. You can either fix the cows to stop them doing that, or you can make beef without the cow.
Can use human engineering to make it the case that we're intolerant to certain kinds of meat, to certain kinds of bovine proteins. And there's actually analogs of this in life. There's this thing called the long star tick, where if it bites you, you'll become allergic to meat. I can sort of describe the mechanism. So that's something that we can do through human engineering.
Through human engineering, General, you can stop people from eating meat. You have Bill Gates that got on there and talked about 6% of the methane for global warming gases is produced by cows. It's actually 6% of the total footprint that Americans contribute, or that people contribute to, not 6% of the total, right? We represent less than 1%, by the way, man-made.
Yeah.
You just saw things that everyone's told not to pay attention to, that this is all conspiracy theories. They're pushing us to a place where people, they're like conspiracy theory, conspiracy theory, conspiracy theory, and yet we come back to the place where we're watching them victimize us.
Yeah, that's right. So those two that you just had there, the young nerdy soy boy who looks like he could use some spare ribs, he should be facing charges right now. He should be investigated, facing charges, and he should be tried for treason against this nation. 450,000 people have this problem now since that kid made that speech. And then Bill Gates, that psychopath, he's guilty of a whole variety of things. He said, well, we could either eat mechanical meat that we make in a lab, or I guess you could take care of the farts. First off, there is no climate change. This is part of the Fabian crap to do the eugenics piece on us and take us down to a 500 million person planet. And their idea about making up the labor is, oh, this is easy. We've got now AI, robotics, and quantum computing, and that'll serve us for the rest of our time. Everybody else, in Henry Kissinger's words, is a useless eater. And so, look, the veil is off. The question is, Mr. President, are we going to have this season of accountability? And if not, let us know, because we, the people, will absolutely have to fix this on behalf of our grandkids and our future generations. But what we can't do is allow the type of people who think it's well within their purview, like that nerdy soy boy, to say, well, I've decided meat's no good for you, so I am going to now inflict all these ticks on you. Or I have decided that the sunlight is burning right through the ozone layer, so I am going to shield the sun from doing chemtrails on you. Or wait a minute, maybe I could dump glyphosate on you and dry up your forest, because that's what it is. It's a diuretic for basically vegetation, and then light a spark and burn your lands down and then buy them back with my private equity firms really cheap. Maybe I could do that. Let me remind you that if hantavirus in its most lethal form is really virus-borne rat crap, How hard is it to take that rat crap in a media environment where you're supposed to believe it's person to person and put it into the same tanks you're dumping on this country with the chemtrails? How hard is that? So the point is, you should view this all as these people mean it. And if you want to say this is debunked, this is not real, this is tinfoil hat stuff, oh, stand down. You're just one of those villagers who was looking out of your window as the lobsters shot down R-77 at Lexington and Concord and went, wow, that looks really bad out there. That's all you are. But what I would encourage Americans who are concerned to do is stand up, make your voice heard, follow Tina Peters' example, and you know what? That's a real patriot. That's someone who said, what I'm doing is more important than my freedom. And what she did was she exposed that we are in a double standard of justice right now. And our Constitution is currently in an ornamental state. And we need to defend it. You need to fight for it. And this is about tyranny. And the sooner that we all recognize that, the better the chance that we have.
Well, General, I'm sitting here going through, like, work the problem. I'm watching the notes that people are writing and the comments, and they're like, well, what does it look like to stand up, make your voice heard? I think one of my issues is that people feel like they're alone because they've done such a good job of separating us into different buckets. So what is the mechanism, do you think, that people can get people in the community? Because people are tired. They only have 44 cents left on every dollar, right? I mean, that 56 cents goes to the government. Everything is a camera on every corner. They've got the thumb on the American people. And frankly, we don't even want to leave our house. We're like, forget it. We'll just stay here.
Will you wait till you have 22 cents on the dollar or 5 cents on the dollar before you find it's in?
You know me, I love to fight.
But before you find it's in your best interest to hustle your butt down to the city council meeting and ask a few pointed questions about where they get their money from, why that they want to have the big resource gobbling data center with 37 jobs in it versus what the county's trying to do to get people stabilized in an economy that matters, why that Flock and Palantir products are now appearing on every single street corner in the entire United States. When will they come for you? And so everybody will have to decide what that pain point is. But I'm reminded of Tahrir Square. This was the Arab Spring. And we started a thing in this country called quantitative easing because we had a global financial crisis that we started, we caused. The financialists all benefited from it. They all got their Christmas bonuses. The funny thing about buying back all your treasuries and derivatives is, at the Fed level, is it makes commodities streak off into exponential land. They're so expensive. And so what's the result? The knock-on effect is in Egypt and large portions of the Middle East, like Tunisia. Now, you are 100% food importer. You can't afford food. So now you've got Egyptians who are normally used to living in a police state where you even say a bad word about Mubarak and you're going to get a bullet to the head. But you're watching your daughter die because she can't eat anymore. And so you're like, what have I got to lose? What have I got to lose? And what I'm urging Americans to consider, don't let it get to the point where you are in the situation of, I have nothing to lose. Now where do I go? Get out there, make your voice heard, organize, be part of groups, come together as neighborhoods, and make yourself heard, because this wave is coming, and people are going to have to decide where they're sitting.
Oh, I agree with you. General Holt, thanks for coming on. How do people follow you?
It's always my pleasure. Please come see me at dangerousintellectuals.com. That's my podcast. Great conversations once a week. And then I'm always a contributor on Newsmax. I write columns there.
Yep.
And I've got a new gig for 2.5 weeks. I've started a radio guest hosting thing at realnewstalk.com, 9 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern time. And man, I have total appreciation for radio people now. I had no idea how much work this is, but I'm loving it. It's a lot of fun. It is a ton of work. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then we're building a great company at Zeriat.com. Come see us.
Awesome. General, thank you again. And you can follow him, by the way, on it's at TH. I'm going to spell this because everybody gets mad at me. Like, I can't find it. At THE_IRASCIBLE.
Irascible. Yep. A guy who hates the status quo.
Yes. General, thanks again. There's much more to talk about, and frankly, we're seeing a consolidation happen. So there is a lot happening that's good. Yeah, I want to give people there's a lot happening. These bad people are just accelerating what they're doing on the bad side, which is making people on the good side more aware of it. So now the stakes are changing. The temperature's going up.
That's right. Heavy turbulence, but we're going to bring it in for a nice landing.
I agree with you. God bless you, brother.
God bless you.
All right. You know that he was in the military for many years. This is what he did. He did intelligence. So if you're not going to listen to Brigadier General Blaine Holt, I don't know what to say to you. And if you think that he's a conspiracy theorist, let's talk about the people that call us conspiracy theorists. They've never accomplished anything in their life. They never served in the military. Look at Don Lemon. Who's that guy? Or even the Secretary of State. Who is that woman? Or even Jared Polis. I mean, the guy did 1-800-Flowers. Yeah. I mean, he has access to the information. He's telling you what is happening. Listen to him. And then you just have to make a decision on whether or not your selfish desire to have peace is more important than your unselfish desire to make sure that the legacy of humanity is preserved. I tell you what, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to jump into Samantha Power. You know, I always like to talk about Susan Rice, the bad Susan Rice, and Samantha Power, and you're going to see just how bad, just how innately evil these people are. We can see it. Everyone can see it. And we sit on the sidelines, we have this conversation, and the people that can't see it, they're either stupid or in on it. We'll be right back.
Oh, hi. I almost didn't see you there. Welcome to DCF Buns, where you can find the freshest buns in town, if I do say so myself. Oh, our master bakers teach class every week. So whether you're new to baking or trying to improve your culinary skills, we got you covered. And we can help you bake the cake of your dreams. We'll even clean your cake if you want. And if you don't want to bake anything yourself, we have loads of fresh buns available in a variety of shapes and sizes. Check us out at dcfbuns.com to learn more. DCF Buns, we keep the buns hot and the deals hotter. Buns.
In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
Disclosure filed in January 21 shows her assets estimated at $6.7 million to $16.5 million today. In 2024, her net worth is estimated up to $30 million. How does a government job multiply wealth like that? Her salary at USAID was only $680,000 annually. And she's on national TV complaining about the good work she has done. What work is that? Laundering our money?
It's organized crime. It's organized crime. How often do we see it? Should we talk about Nancy Pelosi being worth over $400 million? Just follow her trades. I'll tell you guys something else. On Saturday, and I'm going to tell you guys if you're going to invest in money and in something, invest in this. And this is me giving you free advice. It's worth what you pay for it. Okay? This is free advice. In other words, I am not a financial person, although we should do an entire show. Do you guys think I should do a whole show on how I've outperformed the market for the last 7 years? I want to show you guys, or tell you guys something really quick before I get into the next part. And you would say, Joe, how did you do it? Well, I don't know. We had somebody on that said that I probably have like a little quantum computer or something going through my brain. 50904. And I went through and showed him. I told him, I was like, I had this count and this count, and I was walking through the total. And this particular one only goes back 3 years. If you want more than 3 years, then you have to go. You have to ask them to send you a report. So this is a little thing. I don't know if you can see it. It's not going to let you see it. Oh, it's not going to let you see it, is it? Yeah, let me see if I can bring down the brightness, see if that works. Oh, I just turned my phone off. There it is. What that? You see it? All right, see that right there? Oh, just let me see if I put it on my face. All right. Yeah, there you go. I got it. So the top line is me over 6 months. That bottom line is the Dow. There's the top line is me over 6 months. There's the S&P or NASDAQ. And then the S&P, there's my top line. And that top number is, by the way, 60%. See, it says 60% there? All right, now I'm going to go to 1 year. And this is S&P. So that top line is me. That's me right there, right there. And that is 80% over 1 year. And then you see the S&P down here where it says a lot less. And then I'll just do the NASDAQ. Again, outperformed it by like 50%. And then there's the Dow. I outperformed it. The top line is me. See how it's changed? Now, this is me, top line, over 2 years. You see that part right down there at the bottom? That's when I got depressed because I wasn't doing so hot for that little bit. We'll talk about that in a bit. But that number up there is 200%. And the bottom number is the NASDAQ. Let me see if I get the S&P. There's the S&P and the NASDAQ. Okay, that's me. So based on this chart over 2 years, I would be a genius. Now, let's go to 3 years. Because, people get lucky, right? So this is the Dow over 3 years. See down here? See how I missed? Didn't do so hot here. And then I did really well. And blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's when I got serious about it. I did make a couple of bad ones, but they started getting better and better and better. But the number at the top is 200%. So it's like 230% is what I did in that account, right? And then there's the Dow, there's the NASDAQ, and there's the S&P, the one on the bottom, right? So the advice I'm giving you is not based off of, how would I say this, guys? How do I say this? I'm not a financial advisor, but I've done fairly well. So, and it doesn't benefit me if you buy this stock. But the stock is NOW. NOW. N-O-W. Go buy it. It's ServiceNow is the name of the company. It's been around a long time. And they write software. Go buy it. Buy the stock. Just buy one share, just so I can tell you I was right. It's right now it's like $104. I was talking to a guy that I told him to buy it on Thursday and Friday. It was at $94. And I was like, buy it. Buy the stock. Buy the stock. Buy as much as you can. Buy the stock. Go take out a loan. Buy the stock. Buy the stock. Okay, now, we just talked about this person here. The reason why I said that is because it's not impossible for someone to outperform the market, take 6.7 and turn it into $30 million. Matter of fact, 6.7 million, if you had a 200% return, would be about 20 million. But you saw what the NASDAQ and the Dow did, and I'm an anomaly. I'm a purple dinosaur. And if you go check out what I've done, and I'm not managing a ton of money, but if you see what I'm managing here, if you looked at it, over 6 years or 7 years, since 2018, I've had a 940% return. Since 2018 on my money. So at 940%, I think that the average was like 112 or 115% is what it went up if you were the NASDAQ or the. So you can do this. Okay, it is possible to get to $30 million from 6.7. It is possible. But she would have to average in that 100% a year every year. Excuse me, 94%. She would have to Bernie Madoff for real in order to turn it from 6.7 million into 30 million. Now, I just told you about the anomalous deal that I did 200%. And I love to play in stocks. You know, I've given people advice on go back to Kodak when it was at $4, went to 15. They're like, how long do I have to hold it? I said a couple years, but you'll make triple your money. Just sit, because they have this. And there's a reason why I'm bringing this up related to this in particular. Is not to brag about that I did 200% or 300%, because you'll see that my chart went up like this. Because I consistently I'll buy a share, sell it. I take money out, but I could have made like 600% if I'd have stayed in a stock like Inbis. But this person turned it from January 2021, $180,000 a year salary. So how did she become worth $6.7 million to begin with? Because that means, and it's not institutional wealth, but she went from 6.7 to 16.5 million in 2024. So in 3 years, she almost tripled it. So 300%. And then she doubled it again. So the ability for that to happen on a $180,000 salary is non-existent. And then we talk about the open corruption and the fact that none of the money inside of our budgets are being pushed towards government. It's not happening. And here's an idea. If what she is saying is right, if what Samantha Power, by the way, is the same as Susan Rice. If you put them side by side, they both lie, cheat, steal. Samantha Power was the head of USAID after she was the head of USAID down in Guatemala, which, if you do remember, if you go back in time, you had Save the Children, an organization out of the United States that was trafficking women and children across the border from Guatemala. One of the largest, densest parts of the population of illegals coming across the border came from Guatemala. Women and children disappeared. Nearly half of the kids that went through the system, that of the 89 or 86,000 that disappeared, half of them were from Guatemala. This is who was running it. Samantha Power, who then was promoted into DC, into the Biden administration. Something to consider. And here's a guy that has an interesting idea how to deal with corrupt judges. I'm not advocating for it. I'm not saying I have an opinion. I want to know your opinion after I play it.
Everyone's tired of all these judges releasing criminals back onto the streets, where they immediately go on to assault and kill and harass new people and commit new crimes. Why don't we do what the ancient Persians used to do with judges? who had failed spectacularly to do their job. What they used to do, if you were a corrupt judge in ancient Persia, is they would skin you alive. You'd be flayed alive and your skin would be turned into leather. And that leather would be used to upholster the chair that the next judge had to sit on. Usually would be that man's son. And usually that successor would do a much better job because he had to sit on a chair made out of his own father, who did that job before him. So it was a constant reminder, don't fuck this job up. You know, if you're a bartender and you overserve someone at the bar, and that person gets into a car wreck, and it has a DUI, and they kill somebody as a result, you can get in trouble. You could go to jail if you're the bartender who served them those drinks. If you're a judge who lets a criminal on the street and he goes out and he assaults and kills somebody, why don't we hold them to the same standard? Plus, think about how cool courtrooms would be if they had a human chair that the judge had to sit on. And like, you could use the corrupt judge's head to make like a little throw pillow, you know, to support your back.
Okay. I told you before, I did not condone it at all. But we have a little fun with it. And he's not being funny. This is historical. But if you have a little fun with it, then we can also say that they should not have unfettered immunity. Why? The judge's job is to administer and to control the court. That's it. And to stay within the confines of the law, but they don't. They go outside the confines, they put criminals back on the street, and they do a great disservice to the American people. They victimize us. And they use others to victimize us while they watch us suffer. They don't suffer. 99.99% of them live behind gates. They're completely above the law. They're above the law. You cannot do anything to a judge. And here's a clip of a conversation. We just have to, let's be real. It's getting out of control. It's out of control. The entire system's out of control. It's a lawless society, and these people are acting with impunity. We should do something about it. Here's a clip of a conversation between a liberal and Jared Taylor. And it breaks down what is culturally happening across Europe and America. Play it.
As you know, I am a woman of color.
Yes.
Yes. I am the daughter of immigrants. I am a Muslim. I am a feminist. I am a lefty liberal.
I wouldn't have
I
ever
see your
guessed.
face. And what I want to ask you is, am I your enemy?
You're not subjectively my enemy, but what you are promoting will lead to the disappearance of my people and my culture. And I will tell you this, it annoys me tremendously when I'm told by some immigrant or a child of immigrants that the only reason my country is worthwhile is because people like them have come here. It's as if to say, my ancestors built a dung heap, and I don't doubt your goodwill, but your goodwill is objectively going to lead to the oblivion of my people. I'm sorry, there is no other way to see it.
What do you have to say about that? See, if we don't start fighting now and telling them that their narratives are foolish, if we don't start creating our own environments to hang out on for social media, if we don't start creating our own ability to speak to each other, or at least breaking down the barriers and stopping them from dictating us what their fabricated truth is, then we're doomed. And if you want to know something else, this is even worse. Anybody remember Scott Wiener? Well, he's got a campaign event, and he's featuring drag queens. Go play it.
With ballots in hand, there's a choice monumental. Scott Wiener is a girl's best friend. From climate to healthcare, Scott fights for our dairy. A wiener is a girl's best friend. There may come a tech bro who spends all his millions, but don't be fooled. Even AOC doesn't like you. The
mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe. It just doesn't, this can't be real. But this is real. These are the people that think that they are the arbiters of reality, that they are the pinnacle of sanity. They walk around and say stuff. I had somebody on my post that said, I think you might have a mental disorder. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, sure I do. Sure. Yeah, totally. There's something wrong with me for not wanting you to cut off little boys' penises, and that I want people to get locked up for crimes they commit, or stop people from committing treason, or have transparent election systems, or want Tina for, yeah, it sounds totally mentally ill. The fact that we even let these people breathe the same air is antithetical to society existing. It used to be that we relegated them, we laughed at them, we ridiculed them when they were just demons and weirdos. Now we've let them bully us and use the media and rhetoric to stop people from seeing reality. And those people don't say anything because there's been enough bully pulpits and enough gasoline poured on others that they're fearful. Let me tell you where we're at. I put up a post, and I'm going to show you the video that I put the post up on. But I want you guys to understand that there are consequences to bad behavior. There are consequences to us not being. See, it looks like I don't have any hair at all. Sorry. Fix the lights, guys. Fix the lights. I put up a video. And this video is a transgendered, it's a dude who killed his parents. And here's what I said. I said, men, talking to you. You keep wanting to wait for some magic time when you can stand up. It's not violence. It is accountability. I want you to pay attention to the words this dude uses. They are narcissistic. I want you to hear what this is a body cam footage of a mentally ill person who justified his actions. And now he's got to go to a prison. And this is what's happening in our society. This is what radical leftist liars have done. And it's not, I'm sure his parents were Democrats. They weren't. And they stopped him from cutting off his wiener. That's why he killed them. Play it.
That was the one.
The breast augmentation was the...
No, naturally.
Okay. So yours was an actual, like, lower half reassignment surgery to a female. If you could go back to yesterday, would you change the outcome of your mom and dad?
I don't think there's any way of changing their minds, so no, because they're so narcissistic.
Mm-hmm.
Their answer was on them. They had their chance.
Well, there was no option for her to be able to say, okay, yeah, I'll change my mind.
No, because I knew if I hesitated and they went to sleep, I would have done it.
We keep waiting for somebody to come along, President Trump to come along, somebody to come along and be the voice of reason. We keep waiting for somebody to come save us. God didn't send someone to save us, he sent you to save you. We've got to figure out at some point that the juice is worth the squeeze. We can, you know, I say this to my wife. You ever had somebody, dirty laundry time, you have somebody that eats yogurt and they leave the yogurt on the spoon, just put it in the sink. And so then it dries and it takes you forever to, but if you would have literally just run water over it, you would have gotten all the yogurt off it. We can do the easy work now, or we can do the hard work later. We can stand up now, and President Trump is proving that right now, by the way. Break the back of the London billionaires and the banking institutions and these globalists now. Or wait, and it'll be a fight for your life, and you'll be down to 400 or 500 million people across the world. They're going to kill off 95% of us. And it's not what we choose. It's a small group of people. It's a small group, like 30 people, 20 people, who then pass it down to people getting paid, who pass it down to people getting paid, who pass it down to people getting paid. And then you have the groupies that just want to be important. And it's easy. You could buy some of these people for a ham sandwich. 30 people or so are dictating the existence of humanity. That's it. And it's working. People are not reproducing children. We are in a downward spiral right now where once it hits that peak, it's going to shoot down like a rocket. We'll go from 8.5 billion people down to 5 billion probably in the next 5 to 7 years. By 2031, they want to be down to 5 billion. And we're well on our way there. And nobody can tell us, these are the same people that tell us that evolution is real. And that we came from a single cell organism from a big bang. And then a single cell organism turned into complex organisms. And I saw a video, so I had to go research it. Did you know there are no 2-cell organisms? There are no 3-cell, 4-cell, 5-cell. There are none of those. There's single cell, which is bacteria, and then there's complex cell organisms. But that all they want to tell us that came from nothing, that something came from nothing. And this will be the greatest argument that I give you based on whether or not there is there life after death? Is God real? Yes. You ever played a telephone game? You've tried to figure it out. That's why we have the Bible, right? The Bible, we have this thing, and you have enough people that have seen angels. You have people that said they've seen God, seen Jesus. We know what it is that's evil, and yet we allow this evil to do what it just did to its parents. And he says they're narcissistic. This is a mentally ill, groomed, and disturbed young man who's actually the narcissist that's trying to convince you that it's right, that doing evil was necessary, justified. Are you going to wait till you become a victim? Are we going to wait till we become a victim? And I'm talking to Republicans, Democrats, Independents. Man, we just lay all this stuff aside. We have no idea what any of these parties represent. And if you're one of the little, jockeying mules that walks around trying to say everything's racist because 250 years ago this is what happened, piss all the way off. All the way off. All you're trying to do is control and use guilt in order to drive stakes into the health of a community and a country. And if you came here from another country and you think you're the best part of this country, and you came from a shithole and you came here and it's become more of a shithole, you're probably the people that are the shitholes. You're the shitholiers. And you should probably go back or assimilate to the thing that we were able to build that was great. See, making America great again is actually it's brilliant. But we can't go there without people standing up and saying we've had enough. So with that said, I got in trouble for doing a video. We were pulling some bloopers for the DCF buns video. Something to consider. You think about it. And I wanted to show you guys this because I got in big trouble for this part of the video. And they said, no, you can't use it. So put up the comments real quick before you play it and go ahead and play it.
I need a minute.
And action.
Are we doing action 1, action 2? I'm sorry.
Yeah, action 1 is going, action 2.
Okay. Our expert bakers teach classes every week, so whether you're new to baking or looking to improve your culinary skills, we got you covered.
Okay, somebody would tell me why we got in trouble for that video, the behind part of the video, in the comments. What was in the video that got me in trouble? CBDC, where they take control of your money, will those warnings matter? Kristen, you have to repeat that. About your portfolio, but what about the CBDC? When they take control of our money, will those warnings matter? Yeah. Will those earnings matter? Yeah, I think so. I mean, who knows? I mean, if we fight against it, yeah, it'll matter. And no, we can't just sit on the sidelines and wait for them to basically bleed us dry. That's what I'm saying. So nobody knows what was so important about this video. Are you guys even paying attention to me right now? Anyone? Okay. If you look at the video, put the video right next to me. Just take the sound off. We got in big trouble because when they're on the blooper video, you'll see Joe's talking up front, and he's talking about the things up front, and behind they're having a breadstick fight with bread, and then he takes out another hoagie and he stabs him with a hoagie, but then he goes to his knees, he lifts his head back and cuts his head with a breadstick. They're like, you can't do that. I was like, it's a breadstick. You gotta kill someone with a breadstick? It's funny. And they're like, yeah, we can't put that on TV. Okay, so that just tells you how silly it is. We got told we can't go on certain radio or TV stations as a result of that. But if you're paying, play it again. Can you play it again? Pay attention to this. I got in big trouble for this.
Action.
Sorry, I need a minute.
All right, wait, watch. This is great.
Are we doing action 1, action 2? I'm sorry.
Yeah, action 1 is going, action 2.
So see, they're handling.
Our expert bakers teach classes every week, so whether you're new to baking or looking to improve your culinary skills, we got you covered.
He grabs his head, he cuts it with a breadstick. I can't be the only one that thinks that's funny. That's hilarious. The breadstick massacre. Yeah, Chris, you're absolutely right. Anyway, I just wanted to share with you that I got in trouble. I got sent to the principal's office over a blooper reel of them stabbing each other and trying to cut their head off with a breadstick. It's a symbolism. All right. Well, you know where we're at. At the end of the day, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. Go over there, give us a 5-star review. If you're on Rumble, I just need you to do me one favor, if you would, and that is give us a thumbs up. And if you're on Roku for the first time, just give me a shout out. And Joe at, go to Joe at untamednation.com. Tell me what you're seeing. I'd love to just get some input on that. Other than that, I'll just say hello to the one person I know that's watching me, hoping I talk about him. So I'll talk about him. Eric Coomer this weekend decided to come out there and said, let it go. And I said, I'm never going to let it go. It's Eric Coomer, the singer, the one that was adversely affected by Eric Coomer and the CIA, stripping the media, stripping the online presence of Eric Coomer completely. I mean, literally just erasing everything that had to do with Eric Coomer. And it took down the guy that was the singer. And he got mad at me. So I told him, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Short of Coomer admitting what he did, then I'll stop talking about him. So there, I gave it to you. I gave it to everyone so they know that I would be talking about him. I have the sound off, and I'm having to see some familiar names in the chat. Well, I'm off to do stuff. A bunch has happened since they started chatting on Conservative Daily. What a time it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The beheadings, not just the baguettes. Yes, Jeff, the French are known for their beheadings. All right. So let's pray. Father God, thank you for just all the blessings that you've put in our lives. And we know that today is a challenge, and tomorrow will be a challenge, and the next day will be a challenge. And we will face many difficulties, but we are grateful for the difficulties, and we're grateful for the many experiences that you've given our lives, a test of this life. Father, we are grateful for the ability to have eternal life as our Lord and Savior died on a cross and took all the misdeeds of those that believe in hand. We're grateful, Father, for so much of the things that we experience in our lives, from having children to success to even failures, and even some of the things that really have just ripped our lives apart. We do recognize that you cannot have good without bad. But Father, we ask you to give us the strength to fight against this evil that we know we can see, to help us stand strong against it, that there may be ultimate accountability, and we can reset and just take things back and push the evil back into the hole it came from, while never becoming the very thing that we're fighting against. Father, help us that we may remain humble and we may serve you, only you, in this ultimate goal and target mission of restoring you to our communities, to our country, and our way of life. We love you and we thank you. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. All right, you know what to do now. I'll see you guys tomorrow bright and early. And yeah, don't forget to hit the share button and put it out to all your stuff. And you'll thank me later if you buy that Now stock, NOW. But I am not a financial analyst. But I've been right a lot. But at the same time, there's no benefit for you to do it. I'm just telling you to do it. So, talk soon.
Rise up untamed in the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Tame nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave